3, 2, 1, and we're live. You're tuning to the Cosmic Children Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin, and today I have yet another fascinating individual in the studio with me. While doing my research for this particular episode, I found it difficult to describe what this particular individual does because he has an interesting story and he does a fair bit of things. So Kai, could you please introduce yourself to those who might not have heard of you or might not have seen you before? Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, I'm actually, my name is Kai, firstly. I'm 34 this year. And to simply put it, I'm actually an actor and I'm also a fitness and martial arts coach. And I think from what you're telling me, like when you did research on me, but maybe you went onto my Instagram. And the reason why it seems like, I don't know what he does is because I just kind of post whatever I want to post. I don't really have like a proper like, okay, I'm going to brand myself this way. I'm like, I like this, I'll post that.
Yep.
Or like, I don't have a plan.
Yep.
So
no specific marketing plans or marketing
not
team.
Really.
Okay.
I really should try and get onto it, but I'm quite happy with the way that I use it now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has it usually worked out in your favor to be this casual with regards to social media? Because it seems like more and more these days, it's becoming a lot more curated. You have to put yourself out almost as a brand out there. Has it helped? Has it helped you?
I think it's helped in some ways, but it's also been in a way detrimental in some ways. Maybe it's helped because when I do put something out, generally it gets more like what we call interaction. There's more traction on the post compared to someone that posts like stuff every day.
Yep.
You know, then your traction rate is not so high. So it's not great, but it's detrimental in the sense that maybe because I'm producing such little content, I reach more people. I reach fewer people, sorry. Or it takes me a longer time to reach more people. So the following grows slower. Yeah. And most of the times when my following does grow, it's when I'm shooting a show and when the show does come out. So not really so much from posting itself.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what I found most interesting about your story is that you left the finance industry to pursue acting. Could you speak to that a little bit? Because that is quite unconventional from my perspective. So what was the impetus for something like that? Okay.
So I actually, so I studied finance and marketing when I was in university, and I studied in New Zealand. I'm actually a New Zealander. I'm not Singaporean.
Gotcha.
I'm a PR here. I've been living here for about 18 years.
Yeah.
And as someone who wanted to go into the finance industry, I was like, Singapore is a great place to do finance, right? As compared to New Zealand, at least. So I came here, tried it out for 2 years and found out that I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. There's various aspects of my job that I really liked, like my colleagues and maybe problem solving to a certain extent and like servicing people. Yeah. Because I'm in sales, so there's an amount of service that I have to do. But the sales part really like maybe it wasn't so much for me. There's various aspects of it that I like educating people, which is very closely related to what I do now as well. In a sense, I coach fitness and martial arts. So I'm educating someone. And I find like I get a lot of satisfaction from it. And I guess the impetus for me wanting to leave was, the biggest one would be, I found out that I don't need that much money to be happy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So when I was young and I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be super rich and help the poor.
Yep. It's very altruistic, but sure, yeah.
I think like, cause when I was young, like Bill Gates was such a big talking point, cause like things like social media were not like so big back then, or it wasn't even around. So in the papers, I would always see, Bill Gates, he does philanthropy, like Bill Melinda Foundation, blah, blah, blah. And he's very good for, like, he's a net positive to this world, Yep. So I wanted to be like that. But as I was working the bank, I also found ways to be a net positive to the world without being insanely rich.
What does that mean?
My goal was to be so wealthy that I could set up a gym that kids with problems at home or like youth at risk basically could come in and train for free.
Yep.
And we're already doing projects like that. So it's me trying to help out a community of people that are maybe I don't want to come from a place where I'm like feeling high and mighty, but less privileged than I am. Yep. Yeah. So I think that was the goal that I was trying to achieve when I wanted to be rich like Bill Gates. So there's a way for me to do that without being insanely rich. So I'm okay with that. So
you mentioned about things you actually liked about the particular job you were in. What about things that you didn't like? and prompted you to leave?
Right.
Because I would imagine for people wanting to do acting, that was kind of like their dream when they were young. And it's unlikely, or it's unexpected for someone to make a pivot. I think it's very brave. So I'm just curious to know, like, what prompted that?
What prompted the shift to acting?
Yeah.
Actually, my initial goal when I went into acting was not to be an actor.
What does that mean?
Because I didn't know anything about the industry. Like, I didn't act I want to be an actor, that's why I go and act. I was curious what it was like behind the scenes. That's why I went to act. Because I didn't know how else to see what would happen behind the scenes. So like, even right now, like on set, a lot of the time when I'm not needed, I'm still watching, you know, because it fascinates me how things get made on screen. Like, one scene like might take like a few hours to shoot, but on screen it's like a few seconds, you know? So it's insane. Like the process of that is still mind blowing to me. So when I was young in high school in New Zealand, the way we studied English was through film. And at that point in time, I didn't realize what about film I liked. But now that I'm in the industry, I realize, what I like is cinematography.
Okay.
So the person who directs the camera. So it's not the director itself, but it's the person who controls the camera and does the shot. The director tells them, I want this shot. The cinematographer's job is to establish that shot. And I found it really beautiful. But after I was behind the scenes a few times, like through acting, I discovered, actually, like, I like acting. So then I decided, like, after getting a few roles, after I left the bank, okay, you know what? I'm going to actually give this a proper shot.
Yeah.
And one of my good friends, his name is Elias, so he said, like, you know, if you want to try it, just go all out and try it. And then I kind of just followed that advice, and here I am.
What does going all out mean to you in that context? Because I would imagine you dipping your toes into it and seeing a little bit of what it is behind the scenes. You can't perhaps begin to imagine the road ahead of you. So what did that look like in the beginning? Was it did it come naturally to you? Was it difficult? Yeah.
That skills of acting?
Yeah.
It came, I think, maybe a little bit more naturally compared to people. I wouldn't say I'm talented. I would just say I'm like average.
What does average look like in acting? Yeah.
At least, like, you don't get distracted by the camera. You don't get distracted by the people moving behind the camera, because some of these things affect people.
Yep.
But fortunately for me, like, it never affected me while I was looking at my partner and acting a scene out. And not to mention, like, lights in your face and like people shouting on set all the time.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah.
So you have to block it out.
Yes, you have to block it out. And I think this is where my ADHD comes into help. Like, I have ADHD. It affects me quite badly right now.
Okay.
But in this instance, I think my ADHD helped me out because it allowed me to focus on what I was doing. Yeah. So average in that sense. I wasn't talented. And sorry, what was the question? Like, see, this.
Was it easy or difficult to make the shift towards acting? Because,
right. No, it was easy to start in a sense where I wasn't so nervous.
Yep.
And things behind the camera didn't affect me. It was hard financially.
What does that mean though?
Because in Singapore, the amount of money that you paid in acting, it's not great, especially when you're first starting out.
Yep.
So like, maybe a good example that I can give without giving any exact figures is I did a show, and I'm not going to name the show just to protect them. Yep. I did a show in 2019. I did 4 days of work. I got paid X. Now when I do that same show, and I do 1 day of work, I get paid how much I got paid.
Oh, it's a terrible math question to solve.
Yeah, so now, it's like a big pay jump compared to last time. So I would, in a sense, not mentally, but physically, I would lose sleep because I was like grinding to just work as much as I could. I would work at the gym and maybe like, okay, this was the craziest day I did. I woke up at 6 a.m., went to the gym, taught at 7 a.m., worked all the way to 9 p.m., 9 p.m. I took a Grab home. Then from home, I took a Grab to set. I worked from set at 12 a.m. all the way to 6 a.m. 6 a.m. I took a Grab back to the gym and taught all the way back to 9 p.m. again.
You're missing the crucial element of sleep.
Yes, exactly. So like, it's a big grind.
Yeah.
But now like, back then I understood like I need the money. So I need to sacrifice my health for the money.
Yeah.
But right now, fortunately, very, very, very fortunately, I'm very thankful, I don't need this money. I need to sleep more. Yeah. Because sleep, aside from work, has always been a problem for me. Like I sleep like 5 hours, 4 hours a day.
Yep.
It's really terrible. Yeah. So now when I have the chance to sleep, I'll force myself to go and sleep. Yeah. Instead of like grinding it out and work. Yeah.
Yep. So you mentioned that some aspects of acting came easy to you or came natural to you. What aspects of acting didn't come naturally?
I would say figuring out certain techniques. So for example, when you read a script, right? The way that you read it and the way that I read it is going to be very different in our heads, right? You might read it in a very like nice and like musical tone. I might read it in a very dark and like depressing tone. So one of the things that I still struggle with is finding different ways to read a script when I see it so that I can present various variations to the people that are giving me a chance at an audition. Yeah. So I did go for a course though recently at my school called HCAC, and I feel like I'm much better at that process now. Yeah.
So I know nothing about acting. I only know what I see on screen. So the process of getting good at it has always intrigued me because some people can do it so naturally. And when you hear them talk about it, they actually have like hours and hours of practice. They practice it from the mirror. You can do method acting. So what does the process of being a good actor look like to you? Is it something like you rehearse the line so that it comes naturally? There is that. I'm a little bit confused as to where you start and where you end and where does the role start.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think the first and foremost thing is just remembering your lines. Like some people like, man, like there's one time, like I stood in front of my on-screen partners.
Yeah.
There were 3 people in the scene. These 2 couldn't get their lines down, so I stood there for 1 hour, while they were trying to get their lines right, and we were going like take after take after take. And that was quite frustrating. To the point where like when they finally got it and then it was my turn to speak, I almost messed up. Because I was almost zoning out, you know? Yeah. So I think lines, remembering your lines are very important. The next thing that is required of you is being really disciplined. I have found personally, especially in the first few roles that I did, I got this role. Okay. That's it. Like, I just need to memorize my lines and that's it, you know? But there's so much practice required after you get the role as well, you know? Because you manage to create a character for this scene doesn't mean you're going to be able to carry it out for the rest of the scenes in the show. So it requires a lot of discipline off screen, but at the same time, it also requires a lot of flexibility on screen. Just because, so for example, like if I do a scene in one way and my on-screen partner does a scene in another way, it's not always going to gel well. So it takes 2 people to be flexible enough around what they've done, the work that they've done to create a great scene. Yeah. So I would say that's the start, memorizing lines. And then the end would be being great at being flexible. Yeah.
You mentioned about working with an on-screen partner and you coming out of this character. I think character is a very interesting word because oftentimes you have to, I would imagine you would have to suspend yourself. Or you have to, so it is very curious for me because are you putting yourself into the shoes of the character you're creating, or are you coming up with this character based on what they want and putting your essence into what is that process like?
I think different people have a different process.
Yeah.
Some people believe that you're totally separate from what you've created. Personally, I have found that for me, there are aspects of me that I amplify to put into a character. That means it's already somehow in me. So when I read a script, that natural tendency comes out, but I play on that and work it so that it makes it more obvious on screen. So maybe like if I'm not very good at being like not great at shouting, for example, I have to try and amplify it, right? You know, okay, that's not a great example, but yeah. You know, the way I react to certain things, maybe I'm more stoic, but there are aspects of me inside where like I will blow up. So I have to work on blowing up for a character. So it's already in me. It's just that I have to put it inside there. Yeah.
Because what is interesting to me when I look at, let's say, movie actors, is like, people will hire a different caliber of movie actor just based on maybe their past performance, but they have no idea how they're going to perform for this particular role in mind. And at what point are you hiring the actor based on their innate talent and what they could bring to the role? And are you hiring someone to fill the role? That is a bit confusing to me. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't quite understand your question. So you're asking, when is a role given to someone and when is a role when does someone earn a role?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So I think the chances of you being given a role are a lot rarer in Singapore.
Okay.
Not that it doesn't happen, it's a lot rarer because our CV isn't like, you know, if your CV is huge, it's likely that you're a MediaCorp actor. And then, but even then, they do so much in-house work that they don't have time to go outside and do other work. But for the freelancers, that's a bit different. We don't always get work. So our CV is really small. So our show reel becomes really small. And then it's very hard for people to just, oh, yeah, I'm going to give you this role. Yeah. But in America, where like there's just so much work that everyone's CV is just so huge. Like, example, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yep.
Like he didn't have to audition for a Joker. He was like, oh, I'm going to write this role for you. Just because based off his CV, he's done so much character study, like movies that I forgot the director's name. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I watched it.
Oh, you didn't watch it? Okay. Great movie in the sense of acting, but like storyline is just kind of okay. Passable. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He really carried the movie. As for earning the show, it's more likely like, oh, this guy's got some kind of range that I might want based off his CV and show reel. Then like I'll call you in for an audition.
Is it always like a risk maybe because you have seen the show reel of the actor, you have seen what they've done before, you have seen the range they have, but ultimately you wouldn't know what is that final outcome, right?
No, you never know, man.
You never know. So it always feels like a risk to me. Yeah.
It is a risk. Like let's say there's like 50 scenes in a movie. Okay, that's never going to be true. There's going to be more than 50 scenes. Yep. But let's take 50 for an example.
Yeah.
And let's say the main characters in maybe 40 of them. I'm not going to audition you for 40 scenes, right? It's going to be like a few scenes, maybe.
Yep.
Especially in Singapore, where there's usually 1 or 2 audition processes only. And of course, just because it's such a small sample size, it's a huge risk. Even if you get them in for 3 or 4 auditions, right? Yeah. So there's always a risk. And the risk is even bigger if they hire you without even auditioning you. Yeah.
And that happens.
It's happened to me once.
Yeah.
And it turned out really well. For some weird reason.
Yeah.
Because my CV at that point in time had no comedy, but this director's like, hey, I want you to do this show. And I'm like, oh, but I was really open. I've never done comedy. I've never done anything like this. I don't know if I can do it. But it's like, yeah, I know. It's okay. I want you. I know. I want you. And then it turned out really well.
Yeah.
So I guess he just saw something in the show reel that he really liked and thought that I could bring out. And thankfully, it worked out.
And these are the things that it's quite difficult to put into words, isn't it? It's like a vibe. It's like he just saw something that perhaps he could imagine you in the role.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah. So really thankful to him for the opportunity. Yeah.
Gotcha. So
Right
I'm curious. I'm curious to know, what in your opinion does a good actor embody?
Oh man.
What does that look like? Because you know how you have been through the process. You are an actor yourself. I'm sure you can elucidate what it means to you to be a good actor a lot better. Yeah.
I think I kind of touched on it already just now, where I said discipline off screen and flexibility on screen. But I think after being in the industry for a couple of years, I think one thing I learned is also being professional about things.
It feels like you're all talking about the same point, being professional, being disciplined.
No, professional in a sense like, how do I say this? Don't be a diva.
Interesting.
You know, like, because things like that can cause delays in shoots. It can cause disruptions. It can make a scene not work well. It can make the people around you that are doing work also doing work uncomfortable, and that affects their performance. Yep. So I think that's a really important thing that maybe isn't talked about so much. Because the reason why I like working in the bank, one of the big reasons was my colleagues.
Your team?
My team. Yeah. So this, like that vibe needs to be the same on set. Because if there's one like sour grape, it affects everyone for sure.
Yep.
Like you may not think it affects the show so much, but it really does.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've always thought of video sets and directing sets as like this mega collaboration that you have to stick with your on-set partners, the lighting guy, the sound guy. Everybody have to be together to make a good product.
Yes,
and if one part goes wrong, it would just snowball the entire process. And everybody gets and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. Very, very important. Gelling well. I mean, not that you can't make a great movie if that does happen, because it does happen all the time, but the chances of it gets decreased. Yeah.
How do you navigate that process to to keep yourself grounded? You say not being a diva. I would imagine, I'm curious to know what keeps you grounded?
Man, like, I think this is back to my martial arts training. Like, the main martial art that I do is jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Yep. And it's a very grounding martial art because when you spar during training, which is done every day when you train, you go almost like 100%. So when you go at 100% and you fight it out and you win or you lose, there's no questions asked. You understand what I mean? But let's say if we spar in Muay Thai, I can't go 100% because I'm going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. Yep. So that means there's a lot of questions. Oh, what if I did this? What if I did that harder? You know, but in jiu-jitsu, you get grounded. So when I get my ass kicked, I like, oh, that's it. Like, you know, like it grounds me. And I had the fortunate chance to go to America and train. And they're so good there. So every time I think I'm getting good, I'm like, no, you know what? They're so much better. Like, don't even get that into my headspace. Yeah. I'm shit. Yeah. I'm shit. So I think that helps me out a lot with grounding. But also the people that I surround myself with at the gym and outside of the gym are so good at what they do that they make me feel inadequate and they make me feel like shit. So that helps out a lot too, you know. So it's something for me to aspire to become. Whether it comes to how much work they put on set and offset, how much work they put in at the gym, whether it's how much they work out or the thought process that they use to work out or how well they handle conflict in the gym amongst like clients, because that does happen too, right? So it makes me realize that, you know, I have a lot of things to work on myself and I cannot get it in my head that I'm great.
Gotcha.
In any way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu influenced your way of looking at things? Because I've heard it being compared to chess but with bodies, and it's a very like analytical sport. It's a very it's heavy in contact, sure, but you're always thinking, or maybe you're not even thinking, but you have to know your moves inside out. You have to be able to one up your opponent. So how has that influenced your way of looking at things?
I think it's, man, like I'm gonna repeat myself again. It's a lot of discipline in competition and outside of competition, and a lot of flexibility in competition. So like kind of like discipline on screen, discipline off screen, flexibility on screen. Because you won't always be able to do what you want. Like let's say when I was young and I wanted to be like Bill Gates, I thought like, oh, for sure I can be like Bill Gates. You know, I'm gonna like be super rich. I'm gonna go to banking. I'm gonna go to private banking after that. Then I'm going to blah blah blah. But I realized, oh, you know, the world has like crushed me with reality. And I realized, okay, you know what? I need to change the way that I'm doing things. Just like on set, you got to be flexible with your on-screen partner and you can't vibe. Just like in a match in jiu-jitsu or in Muay Thai or then in MMA, if your game plan's not working out, you have to be flexible. So I think that's, in that sense, like it's really helped me out with my mindset of how I need to work and navigate around things. I'm actually very extremely stubborn, and it takes me a while, but eventually I do change.
Eventually.
I'm like quite a stubborn guy.
So you've mentioned the word discipline a couple of times. I'm curious to know, what does it look like to you? Because for some it might mean, oh, I keep to a schedule and I die by that schedule. But so what does it look like to you? Because it seems like fitness has played a very, very pivotal role in your life. It has been with regards to jiu-jitsu, coaching, even before that. So actually, what does discipline mean?
Discipline is, I think the best way to put it is the phrase to describe discipline would be doing something you have to do regardless of whether you like it or not, or whether you feel like it or not. I can't remember where I read that, but it's resonated with me, and it's not pretentious at the same time. Because some motivational quotes are like, like you sound so up yourself. Why are you speaking like you sound like a douchebag? But this one isn't. Like, you know, it's like discipline will carry you through. Right? Motivation doesn't always last. So it is really just sticking to a schedule. And funnily enough, when you reach like maybe for like example, like a certain level in fitness or martial arts or acting, not that I'm there, okay? Discipline also comes in the form of knowing when to take a break.
Knowing when to take a break.
Yes, correct. So for example, like if you lift a certain amount of days a week, you need to take a break, right? After a while.
Yep.
But some people are of the mindset like, well, I need to lift like 7 days a week, otherwise I'm going to lose my gains, which is not true. Usually there's like an 8 to 12 week, like lifting plan.
Yeah.
And then you're going to take a deload week. So that's also in a sense like where you can like deload your weights or just fully take a break. And that part it takes a lot of discipline too, to be honest, because like it's so embodied in you that you need to work out, but taking a break is also part of that discipline.
And that has helped you with regards to acting as well, to know when to slow down and to not grind as much?
That part, maybe not so much yet, because I do get the feedback from my ex-agents and my friends that I do over-practice sometimes. But I don't know if I'm a believer in that yet. So maybe that's why I don't know if it's transferred into my acting life yet.
Yeah.
Because I was starting to buy into what my friends were saying. And then in acting school, my coach, Camille Hack, he told me like, there's no such thing as over-practice. Then like now I'm like, okay, now I don't know
contradictory what to do. Things, right?
Yeah. Two contradictory things. But he's my acting coach, so I have to believe him, right? He's the coach after all.
Yep.
And to be honest, I'm currently leaning towards the side that there's no such thing as over-practice. Yeah. So I'm going to say this because have you heard of this word called improvisation in acting?
I have heard of it, but I don't know if we're thinking about the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So improvisation is basically you being able to react and improvise on the spot when you feel like a certain way, or when something is being given, or when there's something being fed to you. So being able to follow your instinct when you feel something, or when someone throws you like a curveball.
Yep.
And I found that I improvise much better when I practice a lot, or in a sense, over practice. Yeah. So I don't know if there is a transferability from that fitness side of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
It sounds like you need like a good base to even start improvising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
yes,
where do you guys have the flexibility on set? Because you mentioned about memorizing your lines, and I guess sticking to that to a little bit, but where is the gap when it comes to, let's say, you feel something and you want to improvise? Is that usually allowed? Is that not allowed? Yeah.
It highly depends on the director.
Okay.
Highly depends. Some directors are more open to it, some aren't. And usually you can kind of like get a feel of that before the camera starts rolling. You can ask like, hey, what about doing this? What about doing that?
Yep.
If they say, yeah, sure, why not? Give it a try. Then you know, okay, I'm free to play.
Yep.
Otherwise, no, just follow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And usually you have different takes, and you take things more than once, and do you get to try different things?
Once again, depends on the director.
Okay.
And also, once again, depends on your, it also depends on your on-screen partner. Yeah. Because what I realize is there's such thing as being selfish on set as well.
What does that mean?
When you're an actor, because a lot of improvisation, or like a lot of things that you may change to the script, it will feel good for you personally. So you may look good on screen, but it's not always going to make the scene look good as a whole and your partner look good as a whole. That is
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've kind of started to realize what that means when I hear more notable actors in Hollywood, for example, talk about being selfless on set.
Being selfless on set. What does that look like though?
So just making sure that the focus is not on you. The focus is on making this scene work. It's not about, I want to look cool in this movie, or I want to look cool on this show. So there's a movie that recently came out. I'm not going to name which one because it's a really big show with a really big star.
Yeah.
And I feel like the whole show is about, just making this guy look cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it wasn't that enjoyable for me because I kept seeing that happen.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if other people feel that way because they're not in the industry.
Exactly.
But to me, it's very apparent for this specific movie, at least.
So it just stands out to you.
Yes, it stands out to me like a sore thumb. Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, having been in the industry, does it ruin your consumption habits when it comes to, let's say, media, film, TVs? Because on one hand, you want to improve, you want to mimic, you want to learn from these people that you watch. But on the other hand, you can't always be training like that. You can't always just be looking at how the thing is made. Does it affect your consumption habit?
I think I have not reached the level of mastery required for me to be affected by it so much.
Okay.
So when I talk to Camille, he says, like, I need to turn my brain off and not study when I'm watching. I just need to enjoy. He finds that hard. I haven't found that problem yet. I do spot many things when I watch a show, but it doesn't affect me. But I'm not sure if that's a personality thing or that's because of a level of mastery thing yet.
Yeah.
It did affect me in the martial arts side though.
What do you mean
Like
by
when
that?
I started learning how to so-called fight, I realized all these movies are full of crap, man. There's no way this, like there's no such thing as 10 fight 1 and all this stuff.
Yep.
It's never gonna happen. So for a period of time, it did affect me. Like, oh, this is not realistic. I don't want to watch it. Like, it's not enjoyable. Then I found that I can separate art from realism. Yeah.
Yep.
So now I'm okay. Now I really appreciate martial arts movie again. But that only lasted for like 1 or 2 years, I think.
Yeah. Have you watched or seen something recently that surprised you?
The Batman.
The recent one?
Yes.
Okay.
The
So and that surprised you. So would it be safe to assume that you didn't have a very good impression of it and you watched it and you liked it?
It surprised me in the sense of the movie actually living up to expectations from the trailers.
What impression did you get from the trailer?
When I watched the trailer, I'm not gonna like there's one scene, like I think to be honest, it affects me so much that it's probably my favorite line in movie right now. And like in film and television, it's my favorite line, period. Yeah. It's when Robert Pattinson wait, have you seen the movie?
No.
Damn it. Okay. So it's when he says, "I'm vengeance." And like to me, that's like it's like a super cool part of the movie. And he does it so well that like from then on I was sold about the movie.
Why?
Just because it was delivered so well. Because everyone was like, "Oh, how well is Robert Pattinson going to play the Batman?" Right?
Yep.
Like
there was a lot of chatter before going into it.
Exactly. So even like some of my director friends, they were like, "Oh, it's going to be shit," blah blah blah. But once I saw that trailer, I was like, "Oh, I love it already." And I just constantly promoted it on Instagram and wanted to like find out more about the progress of the movie. The moment the teaser trailer came out in early 2020 during lockdown. And when I went to watch it, my mind was just blown up, like constantly being blown, scene after scene. So it surprised me in the sense that it really lived up to my expectations because trailers rarely do that, you know. Okay, no, I shouldn't mention any films then. I don't want to shit on films. If it's good, I'll say what it is. If it's bad, I won't say.
So I'm curious to pick your brain on that specifically because you mentioned that before the film actually came out, there was a lot of chatter whether he can live up to the role. Or you had Ben Affleck before, and all these great actors playing the role. It's such a mystical role. So what do you think the director saw in Robert Pattinson? That they believed in him to give him the role when he looks nothing like it, but it came out to a critical success.
I actually don't know. Just like how I don't know how the director for the show that Raihan, he picked me like out of the blue, never done comedy. Oh, never mind, it's okay, I'll pick you. I saw something. I don't exactly know what he saw. I guess I should have a conversation with him about it. I haven't talked to him in a while though. But for Robert, he did have to do an on-screen test though and like go for an audition. To my knowledge, while he was filming Tenet with Christopher Nolan, he flew to a different country to do an audition with Matt Reeves for the Batman and do a screen test as well. And it just worked out. Hopefully one day when I do find out what these directors see, I can be a director myself because that'd be quite cool.
Different roles in like a production, do they interest you? Do you want to perhaps try being the director or being the producer of something?
I think director is, man, it's so much work. It's so much work. It's like such a heavy job. When I look at directors stressing out, I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to be a director.
Could you explain that to me? Because when you say director, I have no conception of it.
So a director is basically someone that takes charge of a set as a whole. And this director tells everyone kind of like what to do. He talks to you like, okay, so for example, if there's 30 people on a set, hey, you, what's your motivation for this scene? Like they have to, if they're doing a good job, they're generally going to talk to everyone about like what your motivation is. Because when you have a motivation to do something, it's going to look a lot more believable on screen. And like the director decides, okay, I want this shot. I want the movie to look and feel like this. That's my job. So it's a really heavy job, especially like with time and budget constraints, which happens a lot even in Hollywood. What else do you do? You make sure that, no, that's about it, I think. I'm sure there's a lot more that I'm missing, but it's not a job that I envy. But hopefully I get to do it one day just to like get the experience.
It's interesting you mentioned constraints because I think I do find it fascinating to look into behind the scenes.
Yep.
And I think WandaVision and the Doctor Strange movie, they say, we're only shooting for 40 days. It's like 40 days, but the whole production of the show took like 3 years. It's like, wow, it's like the scale of which you're shooting, and after which there's like the post-production and like reshoots, everything. That is pretty insane.
Yeah, it's really nutty.
Yep.
I think the director even like comes into play when it comes to the post-production. Yeah. How much influence they have in what the editing process is like, I'm not 100% sure. And I'm sure it's different when it comes to Singapore versus like, let's say, America.
Yep.
Because when you watch a movie and you watch award shows, you realize quite a lot of actors, they thank editors.
Yes.
And the reason is because the editor has the power to choose which take is being used. And what if they pick a take that's shit? You know, like then like the actor looks bad and the actor doesn't get like an award, you know? So I don't know how much power in Singapore compared to America the director has over the editor.
Yep.
Yeah.
From your experience, do you get to view your takes like with regards to before it goes live?
Yep.
Yeah.
So sometimes directors don't like you to see what it looks like. Some don't mind. But it also, once again, boils down to time constraints. Like, do we have enough time for you to go and watch a playback? Because that takes time. Like, you know, what if the take was 1 minute? 1 minute, okay, cut, okay. Can I watch the playback? Okay, that takes another 30 seconds. Watch the playback.
And it's all money, right?
And that's all money, exactly. So it is very constrained by time and money. You'd be surprised. Yeah.
What about the post-editing process? Like after you film everything, now they're just cutting together the thing. Do you... are you awarded the opportunity to just sit in and say, okay, maybe this is good, this is bad? Yeah.
So far, no.
Okay.
So far, no.
Okay.
Yeah, never been asked, never had the opportunity, never asked. Maybe I should ask.
So is it like a surprise, like when you shoot something and it comes out, it's like, oh, okay, I did this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of the time I hate myself on screen. Like I cringe when I...
Okay.
Like,
do you actively watch yourself just to learn?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not so much because I want to watch myself. I just want to watch the show. You know,
Okay.
Because I am a film fan first and foremost before I became an actor. And even before I became an actor, my love was for cinematography. You know, I wanted to be a cinematographer. I didn't know what it was when I first started, but yeah, that's what it is.
Do you still want to be a cinematographer?
I would love to, man. Yeah.
What's the difference between that and a director?
So a director tells the cinematographer or director of photography, this is the shot that I want. This is what I want to establish. Like now the cinematographer's job is to control the camera, whether it's handheld, whether it's moving on a dolly, whether it's static on a... I don't even know what you call those.
So it's a lot more
stands.
technical.
Yes, it's a lot more technical. He controls what lens we use. He controls the lighting. So there's a lot of work with it. But the cinematographer doesn't always necessarily have to hold the camera or be the one that's there. Sometimes he tells someone to do it. So that would be your camera assistant, for example. So that the cinematographer can actually watch on the screen with the director to see what the shot looks like and change it from there. Yeah. I think a really good example of a cinematographer not holding the camera would be this movie called 1917. Please tell me you've watched it.
That's the one with Andrew Garfield, right?
No, it's not.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so that's Dunkirk. Okay, yeah.
It's a great movie, yeah.
But I think I know, so I don't watch a lot of movies, but I watch a lot of behind the scenes of movies and the process. So I'm a little bit weird like that. But I think it's the one with the single take.
Yes.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's a very long take. Like it's made to look like it's shot in 2 takes, but it's done in many different cuts.
And that is because of great cinematography.
No, that part I'm not sure. I think it boils down to great planning as a whole. And cinematography would be part of that. So it's not just cinematography.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the takes were up to 8 minutes long. You know,
is that very long?
That is very long.
Okay.
That is very, very long.
Okay. What's an average take like? Yeah, just so I understand.
I don't know, like it depends on how
what the scene is like.
The scene? Yeah. But like I wouldn't say like maybe more than 3 minutes.
So that's like
generally
almost 2.5
3 minutes is pretty
times.
long. Yeah. And that's a number I heard. There could be longer takes in that show as well. I know that the longest take for a movie is 1 take though.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And it's like 1 hour plus.
So it just continuously rolls?
The whole way. Yeah, it's called Russian Arc or something. I haven't watched it. Doesn't look that interesting to me, but like I'm fascinated that it's done in 1 take. Yeah.
So while doing my research for this podcast, I looked at your reels and I realized that you have played multiple roles, from like leading roles to like supporting roles. What does that mean? Like, do you, because ultimately you still have to play a character. Does it mean that you, in a supporting role, do you put in a different amount of effort to like the main role? What does all that mean? Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that you put a different amount of effort into building a character and memorizing your lines. It's different in terms of the quantity, but not the quality of work. Just because I have less lines, obviously the amount of work that I do in terms of quantity is less, but the quality, no, it should never change.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Supporting characters basically just are there to move a story along and around the lead actors, which is not in any way, in my opinion, a regression from being a lead actor. Because supporting actors can be great as well. If they do their job really well, they outshine the lead actor, in fact. It's just that the story does not revolve around the supporting actor. Yeah.
Interesting. I looked at this video called Last Madame. Like, I believe you played the lead role.
I wouldn't say it's a lead role, but it's it can be viewed as a lead, but it's not the lead.
What does that mean?
I don't even know how to explain. Okay, so there's two timelines in this show.
Yes.
There's an era period and there's the modern day period.
Yes.
So in the era period, there are two main characters. Yeah, two main characters. In the modern day period, there's two main characters. But the modern day period is not the main focus of the show.
Gotcha.
So I can't say that I'm the lead, Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, what attracted you to that particular role?
Man, like I didn't, nothing attracted me. It's just to work. And it's like, oh yeah, I'll go audition for it, I would say that now when that I'm less green, I'm still very green. I'm less green in the industry. I can like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, I really want to do it. But back then, it's like, oh, like there's a job, or everything's interesting to me because it's new, So I wanted to do everything and anything and everything that I could get. But once I was on set, I realized like, wow, this is a really big production for my third show or second show that I've ever done in my life. Because if you watch the show, anything that's inside of the house, it's a set. So it's not a real house. So they built a set in a decommissioned school in Ang Mo Kio. Yeah. So I realized, oh shit, like this is a huge deal. It's going to be a big show. Then like, oh wow, sweet. Okay. Lucky me, It's quite funny because I went for the audition and then I thought I did shit. 30 minutes later, my agent called me and said, hey, you got the job. I was like, oh, okay.
So it came as a surprise to you as well.
It came a big surprise. Yeah, especially because it's 30 minutes, because it usually takes like weeks, sometimes even like months to find out if you get a role. Yeah.
So I believe in getting casted for shows and showing up for auditions, people tend to get typecasted to a certain role.
Yes.
Is that something that you have experienced?
I think it, when I first started acting, I knew I had to do certain kind of roles. Not that I wanted to typecast myself. It's just that I knew I was lacking in the acting department. Because I've never acted. I had no training at that point in time. I needed to rely on what my body looked like. So a lot of the roles that I got because I had I'm not trying to float my boat, like a decent looking body. And that helped me out a lot. But now that I'm a little bit more established, I don't just rely on that anymore. I don't just look for roles that I'm going to be topless for sure. But the first few shows, I was topless. Like the first 3 or 4 shows, like I'm topless. Yeah. So now I don't get hired just because of the body. I would like to think I get hired for my skill as well. Yeah. So, even though I'm still topless quite a bit.
So what are the type of roles that you would like to play? What are the type of characters that you would like to play?
Man, like playing bad guys is a lot more fun.
Is it?
Yeah. To me at least. Like,
why though?
I feel like, okay, when you watch, have you seen this movie called Skyfall? James Bond Skyfall? No.
It seems to be a common pattern in movies. Okay.
It's okay.
Synopsis.
Okay, no, this movie you probably likely seen. Have you seen The Silence of the Lambs?
I've heard of it.
Oh my god. Okay. So Silence of the Lambs.
Is it Anthony Hopkins?
Yes, Anthony Hopkins. That role, exactly. So like when you watch his performance, you're like, wow, that's so cool. Like you don't look at the protagonist and go like, oh wow, that's a really cool role. In a lot of movies, when an antagonist is done really well, it meant it like they outshine the protagonist in many ways. Just because there's a lot more complexity that you can create with a character when you're an antagonist, in my opinion. So far, it might change in the future, but right now that's my stance. So you can play a bad guy in so many interesting ways. Anthony Hopkins with Silence of the Lambs is one of them. Skyfall with Javier Bardem is one of them. I recently did a shoot where like I play a devil, and like initially when I read the script in my head, I was like, oh, I'm gonna play this very like, you know, like stoic and like evil sounding, like slow talking devil. But after like many takes in front of the camera, doing an audition at home myself, like filming myself, like I found it playing like chill and cocky and like more suitable and more fun and more in my zone. And I thankfully got the role.
So attention to that question, I'm curious to know, what do you think is a strength of yours that people often miss?
What is the what, sorry?
What is a strength of yours that people often miss?
Strength. I don't have a lot of strengths.
Oh, quality of yours,
Let me think. Okay, I think to be honest, maybe my ADHD can be a strength in a way. Just like how it helped me with focusing on my on-screen partner and ignoring the cameras and the light and people. If you know how to capture my interest and you know how to make me focus, it allows me to focus for like hours on end. Like it's a bit weird. I don't know how to explain. Like
is there like a process to that, or
there's no process? It's just or maybe there is and I haven't identified it.
Gotcha.
But like when I was young, I hated math.
Sure, like everybody.
Yeah, exactly, right? But then my dad found a way to make me like it, and I focused on it so much that I went from like a C to an A+.
End up in the banking.
and in banking, you know? So like I think maybe that's in a way a strength. But I have yet to discover how I can apply it in my everyday life.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Or hopefully I will one day.
So I'm curious to know, have you always felt this comfortable in front of the camera?
No. My level of comfort now is a lot better compared to when I first started, for sure.
Okay.
Like on screen, I might look really calm when I first started, but inside my heart's like,
oh damn.
You know?
Okay.
But like I was still able to focus. It's just that I was nervous. Now like I'm not nervous. I think I would be nervous if I had like an idol of mine acting next to me. Maybe like a Matthew McConaughey or like, you know, Woody Harrelson. Like type of level of Hollywood actor. Not that Hollywood has all the great actors, but those are the two that I can think of right now. I'm much more comfortable, which helps a lot with your performance. Because one of the major things that you have to do as an actor is relax.
One of the major things you have to do as an actor is to relax.
Yes, correct.
That is an interesting anecdote.
So anyone who is a professional athlete is extremely relaxed when they're doing what they do. It's because the mind and the body are able to react a lot better and be proactive a lot better when it is relaxed. So like when I throw a punch in Muay Thai or kick in Muay Thai, if my body is tensed, it cannot move quick. If my body is relaxed, it moves a lot faster. And the impact of your punch or kick or whatever is a lot higher. Like when you are a sprinter, I'm not 100% sure, but this is what I would think. When you're a sprinter and you're at the 100-meter line about to kick off, I'm very sure that these people are in a relaxed state. They're not like tense.
All tensed up,
Exactly.
It seems almost paradoxical, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
In a sense, especially when you're filming a scene where you're not supposed to be relaxed.
What does that mean?
So for example, if I'm in a scene where I'm very agitated, I'm very angry, or I'm very emotional, like I'm sobbing and I'm crying.
And you have to show it, right?
And I have to show it.
Yeah.
Being in control of your body, which I will call an instrument, because my acting coach, Camille, calls that, and your body an instrument, you need to be relaxed. Yeah. So even when you're looking at a punch coming, you're able to better react to it if your body is relaxed. It's a very weird thing. I don't know how to explain it, but after looking at punches coming to your face for a while, when I used to train a lot of Muay Thai, I just kept telling myself, okay, relax. And then one time, like I had like a Spider-Man Tobey Maguire moment when the Flash throws a punch, and I just kind of looked at it like that.
Oh, interesting.
Like, it was a very mind-blowing moment. Like, wow, like, okay, I understand what relaxing means now, in a sense. Almost like how earlier this year when I went for my acting class, we went through some exercises. The first one was relaxing, and the second one's called the sense memory exercise, where you think about something. And through relaxation, I managed to feel an emotion more, and I was able to cry for the first time on cue. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Super, super interesting.
Is that, you mentioned acting classes. So is this something that you're constantly pursuing to get better at it?
I'm always doing it if I'm not shooting and if there are classes available to me. Yeah. Because in Singapore, it's not every day that there's a class that you can attend. And in the event where there are a string of weeks where there's a program going on, you're not always able to make it. Yeah. So if I can, I'll always go for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what do the syllabus for classes look like?
It depends on the level of acting that you're in.
So what level are you at right now?
I'm shit. So
Okay.
I don't know. Like I don't know if it's a grounding thing that I'm doing, or if it's just like I don't feel like I'm good enough or whatever. I feel like I'm still very, very early beginner level, because I'm only now, after a few years of working and doing like a decent number of shows, realize like, oh, okay, I know how to apply these techniques now.
Yep.
So I might, for example, in martial arts, like I learned how to do all these moves. Doesn't mean like you are good.
Yep.
Because you cannot apply it yet.
You can't string them together.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's for me in that act. I'm in that level right now. I would still like say like I'm a middle level white belt maybe in acting. Yeah.
White belt is a BJJ term, right?
Actually, most martial arts white belts are the beginner level, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Most martial arts. Yeah. So not just BJJ, I think.
Okay.
Taekwondo, karate, Hapkido, many other martial arts. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I'm curious to know, do you have a coach or like a mentor figure in your life?
In my life?
Yeah.
Man, right now, not really. Yeah.
Did you used to have?
Did I use that? I guess it would have been my dad. But my dad and I, we live in different countries now.
Yeah.
My parents are in New Zealand. I'm here.
Yep.
So we don't see each other or talk to each other much. Right now, I guess I have idols that I look up to in different aspects of my life. Maybe like martial arts, I've my coaches.
Yeah.
In acting, I have my acting coach as well. But I also have idols in terms of who I really would like to, a level that I would like to attain. Like I mentioned, Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. Like if I ever reach that level of acting, like I would be so happy, you know.
Are they good actors?
I would say they're very good actors. Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very good actors. And thankfully they did a show together called, oh my God, my mind's killing me right now. But it's a TV show. It's a very good TV show. Yeah.
Is it the True Detective or something?
Yes. True Detective. Oh, you watched it?
I did.
Nice. Finally. Congrats. And you remember the name. Great.
Yeah, because I personally can't tell what is a good actor, what is a bad actor.
Right.
Are there even bad actors?
Yes. I would say that they are.
Yep.
Bad actors first, if you're on set, like, and you're in the industry, like bad actors are people who don't memorize their lines.
Okay.
Like they come in completely clueless. That's really bad.
But are they doing that intentionally? Do they hope they can improvise?
No, some people are just lazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know of people like that are like that.
Yep.
They are given the opportunity, but they're not willing to, or they're not motivated to, make the best of it. Which is unfortunate because then, like, why are you doing it?
Yep.
I would say that there are bad actors because on screen, I can kind of tell, like, when someone's like faking it. Not all the time, but like I can tell, like, oh, okay, this person went through this process or didn't have a process, or they're just saying their lines. Yeah. Which is what I catch myself doing sometimes. That's why I cringe so bad when I watch myself on screen.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or like in my head,
Yeah.
it sounds like I did a good job. But when I watch it, I'm like, oh, that's so bad. Yeah.
How do you square that away though? Because only after you see the final product, then you can, okay, maybe this is not that good of a job. Then I will reflect upon it and I can do better the next time.
Man, I think the only way is through like self-taping. Because you don't get a chance to do it on set all the time. Like I can't watch every playback. And even then the sound is so bad when they play back generally.
And they can't keep doing takes and takes and takes as well.
Exactly. But at home, you have the chance to do it all the time. Yeah. So before I started attending acting classes, a way that I found myself getting better is by going for a lot of auditions.
Yeah.
And then when I was fortunate enough to get roles, I found myself getting better when I was on set more.
Yeah.
So it's basically just being in front of the camera that can really help you and like pinpoint. But I think a really good tip that I think coach gave me was don't use the selfie camera, use the back camera. Because when you're using the selfie camera, you're looking at yourself the whole time and you're very worried about how you look on camera. But with the back camera, that's not possible, right? You don't know how you look. So you're really focusing on what's happening internally rather than externally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting tip. Yeah. Because I would imagine
it's great.
Like being mindful of how you look is important.
Yes.
But on contrary to that, it doesn't seem that it's that important.
No, because that's the job of like people who do lighting and stuff. And which generally the cinematographer who tells the lighting people, oh, okay, put the light at this brightness, put the light at this angle and stuff like that. Or, okay, you got to stand at this point so that the lighting is better. So I wouldn't be too worried about things like that. Yeah.
So I guess it's about trusting the team or the production team, everybody on set as well.
Yeah. Man, like the people who do the most work are the people who are not on camera, man. Like I did a show called Third Rail. It came out like a few weeks ago, 2 episodes every week. And the amount of work that I see the people off screen do is just like, oh man, like if I were in their shoes, I would probably leave the industry after the project, you know.
Oh man.
It's just so much work. It's insane. It's not just a lot of work, it's hard work.
Yeah.
You're sweating, it's hot, you know, like you're expected to do this, you're expected to do that.
Yeah.
I really like salute them, take my hats off to them, man. Yeah. They're like really the heroes of every production, the people off screen.
I'm curious to know, have you been given roles that felt foreign to you initially?
I would say the first comedy one that I did without doing the audition, where Raihan just picked me, that felt foreign before I got on screen. But the moment I got on screen, on set and acted, it felt really natural. It felt foreign because like I've tried acting like comedy scenes in acting classes and it just didn't feel right.
Didn't feel right. Okay.
Yeah. So I was quite nervous when I was going on screen, but the moment on set, but the moment I got on set, it felt great. Yeah. So I really don't know how that happened for me personally.
Yep.
Or what Raihan saw as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Another foreign one would be anything that's to do with speaking anything other than English.
Or like other languages.
My Mandarin's terrible, man.
But is this something that you would see as a challenge, or is it something that you want to try?
I want to try. It's a challenge because not only do I have to think about what this character is like or what my performance is going to be like, the memorization of lines will show on your face when you're on screen. You're like,
you won't be relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. You won't be relaxed. Like I've seen it on screen when I'm doing Chinese shows.
Yeah.
Like there's this show where I'll tell this story just because it's quite funny. I remember how I told you I relied heavily on my body to get roles. So there's this show where I went for audition, the first audition, where it's just, okay, you do martial arts sequence, and if we like you, we'll call you in for a second audition. So I did a martial arts sequence with my friend, and I went to the second audition where we actually had to read lines.
Yep.
I forgot half of my lines at the audition.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. It's just because like, at that point I was still green, like very new. That was the first show that I did, and I was very nervous, and it was in Chinese. So I forgot half my lines. So as I was acting the scene out, there was someone that's reading the lines to me. So it's quite funny. Yeah. The show is called The Good Fight. 自胜出击. I'm really grateful to Zheng Geping for giving me this role. But I got it because of my body and because of my martial arts ability. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was good fun. It was really good fun. But that helped me realize that I really do need to work on my language. Yeah.
What about different genres of film and TV shows? Are there any specific genres that you would really like to try or do?
Crime. Yeah, like exactly like the Batman.
Okay, like, that is crime.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like a film noir crime kind of like esque movie. Yeah. So like maybe for example, okay, to be more specific, crime thriller suspense. A good example would be Seven. Yeah, Seven's a great example. Another crime, not really so much thriller or suspense, is Christopher Nolan's The Prestige.
But do you want to play the killer or do you want to play the detective? Let's say in 7.
Man, like I wouldn't mind playing either one if I could be in that kind of show. Just because I really like that style of movie. I never knew that I liked it, but when I found out, okay, this is what it is, I realized this is the kind of movies that I like to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about filming things yourself?
Like writing, directing. Oh man, like that's a.
I mean, we are in the age of filming things and coming up with your own production, putting up on YouTube. We are in the age of that. Have you ever considered something like that?
I do like certain reels on my Instagram where it's the beginning processes of making my own film. I like, okay, this is the shot that I want. My friend tells me shoot it. Yeah. And this is how I want it done. And then my friend will help me edit it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, not my friend, my girlfriend.
Yep.
And I guess that is the beginnings of me doing something like that. But the thought of writing a script and doing like a bigger version of expanding on what I did with dialogue, it seems relatively daunting because I wouldn't have a clue of where to write, begin script writing because I have no knowledge on it at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Directing, I have a little bit of knowledge. Cinematography, a little bit of knowledge. Script writing, no.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, I'll just stick to the small videos that I'm doing.
Yep.
But hopefully one day I manage to find a way to learn how to write scripts as well. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I've seen some crazy stuff on YouTube. I think there was this one, I think it's like a fan video of Power Rangers. So they did like
YouTube?
what on YouTube.
Yeah.
So they did what Power Rangers would look like, I think 10 years or 15 years into the future, past the whole pop color of it in the show, and it's really dystopian, really grim, really dark.
I know which one. I know which
I
one
think you know. Yeah, it's really
this
famous.
Video came out in 2015.
Yeah. And the choreography, I've seen some crazy fight choreography or like just choreography stuff with regards to fight athletics on YouTube. It's insane.
Yeah. It's
honestly
crazy.
insane.
It's crazy. I feel like okay, no, that's not true. It's all hard work. Like I'm just more naturally inclined to the directing and cinematography side because I see it happening, but I never see the process of script writing. So I wouldn't say that script writing's hard. It's just like I've never had the opportunity. But yeah, it's amazing, man. Like the content that's coming out on YouTube. It was happening many years ago, like Wong Fu Productions.
Yes.
Yeah. Like they were producing such great stuff like back in the day already. And now they still are. And there's so many more channels popping out that's producing great content. It's madness.
So I want to shift the conversation to talk about the age we're in right now with regards to YouTube, Vimeo, where you are able to gather your own team, produce your own content, and put it online. Do you feel like there is a lot more opportunities these days as yourself, as an actor, because you can? It seems like the way to go about things these days is to gather a following, either on TikTok, either on Instagram, or however you want to do it, and then you transit that to do something else.
Yeah. It's a huge opportunity for sure, but whether you have the resources to do it might be a different question. And with resources may come quality, come the quality as well. Unless you have a group of friends that are willing to do things, create something together, I think it's a bit hard. Yeah. And I don't really have a clue of how to start, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me think.
What about filming yourself, doing up skits and putting up online, gathering a following like that?
Yeah. I might be able to do that, but only to a certain extent. Like I have a few ideas in my head, like maybe like 5 max.
It's like one day.
Yeah, I can do it in one day basically. But like nothing like of like super like interesting or great caliber that we are currently seeing online.
Yep.
I'm not very creative in that part of the process, I guess. Yep. It's something that I hope to learn because I think it will translate to other areas of my life because I'm quite regimented in the way that I think. Like even when I train jiu-jitsu, like I'm very like this. Yeah. You know, like step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like even the way I coach is like that. So it's hard for me to be more creative with maybe skipping steps or being creative with content. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think having a following is really important.
It's really important.
Yeah. I've heard that even in America, like it's like a big deal. Like if you have a higher following, there's a higher chance of you getting a role.
That sounds terrible. Or is it realistic?
It's realistic because studios pay a lot of money to make movies, for example.
Yep.
So if you have a higher following, you have a higher chance of drawing people to watch that movie, and the studios will have a higher chance of making the money back, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think a really good example, I'm not shitting on his acting. His acting has improved a ton. Is The Rock, right? When he first started acting, it wasn't great.
Yep.
But he's getting better. But like just because of his following, like, you know, he's like the people's champ, like people love him.
Yep.
He draws so much like people to watch a movie that he's in, you know, even though the movie might not be necessarily great. Yeah.
I think he has leaped from being an actor to being a brand. I mean, back from his wrestling days.
No, you're absolutely right. Like his brand is so strong that it draws people in.
Yep.
Right? Like, I mean, he's freaking Black Adam now. It's nuts, right? And Black Adam has hair, but they're okay with him having no hair. Black Adam, you know? Like, that's how much drawing power he has. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
So when you as an actor looking at that, is it something that you want to work towards, like being a brand and putting yourself out there and getting a following?
The only reason why I would want to work towards that is because it will give me the opportunity to get more jobs. It's not necessarily something that I like to do, because I feel like there's a lot of stress for content creators to create content.
Yep.
And that's not something that I want in my life.
That's the combination of words these days, right? Content creator.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like people who do it very well, great, man. Like, you know, like it's your bread and butter. You can focus on
Props
that.
to them,
and it give you a lot of opportunities in other areas of your life. For me personally, I have to be pushed to do it. My friends and girlfriend, they always recommend me like to do more so that I get more views, more traction, and it gives me a higher chance to get more jobs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no TikTok dancers for you anytime soon?
I'm not saying I definitely never will, but I don't see myself ever using TikTok. Yeah.
Why not though?
I think the biggest reason is it's another distraction in my life that I don't want. Like Instagram is a big enough distraction. Like I never used to be on Instagram so much until I started acting.
Gotcha.
And now like I'm on it so much. I don't like it. So when I catch myself using it unnecessarily, I'll like turn it off. The second reason is I just don't like the content on TikTok.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I find it a bit mindless almost, because Instagram started out for me as a way to keep connected to my friends, because I moved from country to country a lot. Like I was born in New Zealand. Yeah. Then I moved to Singapore when I was 6. I moved back to New Zealand when I was 18. I came back. Moved back to New Zealand when I was 16. I moved back to Singapore when I was 18. I moved back to New Zealand when I was 20. I moved to America when I was 25. I moved to China when I was 26. Sounds
like, very troubling. Yeah.
On and on. Yeah. So like for me, social media was always a way to stay connected with my friends, never for work.
Yep.
So now when I look at TikTok, I'm like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting you use the word mindless, because I want to reflect back to movies.
Yep.
Do you think that there seems to be like a focus with regards to movies getting put out these days? Like there is a very, very big focus on interconnected universes with regards to Marvel.
Yep.
There's very big focus on spectacle. You always have these CGI VFX shows. And you have a lot of critics of the formula. Like it's always like a 3-act structure. It's very formulaic. How do you feel about movies and I guess TV shows getting put out these days? Yeah.
I have no problem with Marvel films. I think they can still be done really well in the grand scheme of things. Maybe purists might not like it, but I find it at the end of the day, like it tells a great story and it's entertaining for me. So I'm okay with that, because when I watch a show, as much as I may pick on things or like see things that are not like right.
Yep.
Okay, I'll tell you something about that later. Are not right. I still get enjoyment out of it. So I think it's perfectly fine, because there's nothing wrong with like being a fan of a Christopher Nolan movie followed by a Marvel movie. It's perfectly fine. It's just different kinds of content, and if they're done well, why not?
Yep.
Yeah. If you're someone that watched Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, watching like No Way Home is just like, wow, that's such a good movie,
moment,
Yeah. So like they did such a good job with like specific moments in the movie that really like paid, like in a sense, like almost like fan service.
Yeah.
execute it really well. There are many movies that try to do something like that fail, right? So it's still an art. It's just a different kind of art.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to bridge what I've talked about to coaching. I think that's very interesting. What type of things do you coach?
Mainly fitness and martial arts. Mostly jiu-jitsu. I don't quite understand your question. Like, what types of things do I coach? Like, what?
Yeah, so jiu-jitsu, fitness. Yeah. So I'm curious to know, did it come naturally to you?
Coaching?
Yeah.
It came more natural to me than most people, I think. Because bringing you back to our earlier part of the conversation, like I get a lot of satisfaction from teaching people things and transfer of knowledge. So when I was young and I was really good at math, I was teaching my friends math. When I was in uni and I was really good at accounting, like I was teaching my friends accounting, you know? And like, yeah. So it's weird, right? Like I didn't get paid for it. I just really enjoyed it. And I guess that like transferred to my jiu-jitsu coaching. Yep. Of course, I'm a much better coach now than I was like 6 years ago. But like I dare say that I had a better than average head start. Yeah.
And I'm also certain that you've seen your fair share of students pass through your coaching.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious to know, are there certain attributes or ways of looking at things that you want your students to be left with?
I think it depends on the kind of student that they are, because not everyone's the same, right? So maybe student A really likes my coaching style, but student B may not like my coaching style. So it really depends, because at my gym, at least, we have maybe like 8 coaches.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And they all have various teaching styles. So I may not focus on student B so much. So I may not want to leave him with something so much, but with student A, then I can do that. And I think one of the biggest things though is having confidence in yourself.
Confidence in yourself.
Yeah. So for example, recently jiu-jitsu competitions have been starting again in Singapore because of the pandemic becoming endemic, and it's like things are a lot more chill now. People perform really well in the gym, but they may not perform in competition, and that's because of confidence. So I think confidence is a really big key to it. Does that answer your question? In a sense. In a sense,
but I'm curious to know, how do you teach confidence?
It's tough. Like I would say that positive reinforcement helps a lot. Like telling them when they've done a good job, and when a coach tells you who they think is a god at jiu-jitsu, you know, not that I am. They just, to them they are. To them I am. They're like, oh, my coach says I'm good at this. So in competition, when they execute a move, they'll do it with confidence. I think that's one of the great ways that we can do it. And of course, like constant monitoring of the members and checking in on how they're feeling. Maybe things to do with how much they're training, what are they working on. These things help them a lot. Yeah.
Are you in a
personal touch?
Personal touch.
Yeah.
Are you in a different frame of mind when you coach and when you compete?
Very different. I think when I coach, I'm very selfless. When I compete, I have to be very selfish.
It's like polar opposites.
Yes. Like when you train with other people, I mean, when you train with people, not other people. When you train with people, you can choose to focus on certain things when you train. When you're training for other people, you have to allow them to work on certain things. But when you're training for yourself, you have to impose what you want to do in a competition. So you really have to be quite selfish. So competing and coaching on the same day is very tough. Because the 2 months of training leading up to the competition is just so much work. Like you have to be selfish yet selfless in a certain way. Is competing still something you actively do? I haven't done it since 2019, but I would like to compete more. But I don't compete if I'm shooting a show because I cannot afford to get injured.
That's
so fair. Let's say like if a lot of people think like, oh, you don't want your face to get hurt. Of course, that's the obvious one, right? Like I can't get like a huge ass like cut on my face and act. But like one of the main things that I'm worried about is just like my joints. Like what if I cannot run? What if I cannot walk?
That's
fair. Then that's like a really big issue. At least like makeup can cover a cut, but like if you hurt your ACL, which is a very important ligament in your knee. Okay, I mean, they're all important. But you just, like what can you do? Nothing's going to help you out with that.
It's very interesting because with regards to competing, it's such a different frame of mind that one has to put themselves in. You have to sacrifice a lot. Yeah. And I can imagine it's not always you getting the goal at the end of the day. No, you might lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, in fact, like for me personally, if I'm not gold, I might as well have been last place. Because the way that Jiu-Jitsu tournaments in Singapore, at least, the way the brackets work, let's say there are 8 people in a tournament.
Yeah.
What if I went up against the gold medal winner in the first round?
You most likely get knocked out.
Just been last, right?
Yeah.
So that's my mindset, at least. I don't impose this mindset on my members because it's not everyone can handle that kind of truth. But that's my mindset. Yeah. So when I train, if I don't get gold, like I'm pretty disappointed. Yeah. Not sour, but disappointed.
Yeah. So in your mind, what distinguishes a good coach from a bad coach?
Being flexible is very important.
Flexible, but can I imagine the flexibility in this context is a little bit different?
Yes. Yeah. You have to be flexible with different members because let's say there's 10 students in your class. Not everyone is going to learn the same way. And after you've taught the mass, like let's say, okay, this is how we do the technique. 10 people watch. Then they go and practice the technique.
Yeah.
I always go to the individual and try and watch them how they do it. And I can't explain the same move the same way every time. Like each member is different. Yeah. So like flexibility in that sense is really important. Some people are much better at it than I am.
Yep.
Just because my mind is very 1, 2, 3, 4 like step kind of guy. I'm that kind of guy. But I mean, I would like to say I'm getting better at it. Patience is very important. Very important.
Has it always been a strength of yours to be patient?
Yes, but I do catch myself being impatient.
Interesting.
Yes, because some people are not very in tune with their body.
Fair. So
sometimes when you put them in a very complex position in jiu-jitsu, when you tell them move your right hand, they end up moving their left foot, you know? So that, and I repeat left, like right hand. Then that does get to me a little bit.
Yep.
So that would be a time where I do get impatient, but I'm learning as time goes by to handle it better. And I feel like I have been doing better at being patient with these kind of cases.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
And would it be safe to imagine that a lot of the people you're coaching, and if they're competing, it's kind of like the first time competing and the emotions that they're running through as well. Yeah. And you're coaching them through that?
Yeah.
Okay. From experience we do.
Yeah. So like, that they're like, maybe like, we have hundreds of students, but let's say 40 compete.
Yeah.
Obviously I can't handle 40 people.
Yeah.
So like, at our gym, like if we feel like we're closer to this member, I'm going to take this specific member under my wing. So maybe like, let's say I take 8 and other coaches take however many they feel is appropriate for themselves. And we will help them personally with like the mental struggle or like technique specific struggles. Yeah, I think that's really important. So once again, that's like a personal touch thing.
Yeah.
To be a good coach, I feel like you need to be very personal. Yeah. Because
very personal, interesting.
You can't become good if we're only doing things within that 1 hour in that day that you're training, or an hour and a half, or like 3 hours if you're training like a few classes in a day.
Yeah.
Like it takes more time than that. Like it takes time, like a lot of WhatsApp messages, a lot of WhatsApp messages like, oh coach, like I'm not feeling great. My training hasn't been going well. My weight cut hasn't been going well.
Yep.
Like I got girlfriend problem, blah, blah, blah,
Interesting.
Like, so you have to have a personal touch, but obviously it's hard to give that personal touch to people who you're not, maybe you don't click with so well, which is why it's a great system where we spread out that responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as we wind down the conversation, when I was doing my research for this episode and looking into what you've done with regards to fitness, competing, I got very curious about your thoughts on strength. What does it look like to you?
What strength? Like physical or mental?
However you choose to interpret it. Because you exemplify that you are competing in jiu-jitsu, you're coaching, and you exemplify all the traditional ideas of what strength is. But I'm curious to know personally, what does it mean to you?
Man, like, to be honest, I don't think I exemplify it. But thank you.
To me, when I was doing my research,
Okay.
What does it look like? Yeah.
Mentally, I think strength is having the ability to carry on when the chips are down. Like when you get rejected for a lot of auditions, or like, because I like poker. If you're a professional poker player and you're on a really bad losing streak, like you start to question, like, is this my career path?
Yep.
Same thing with acting, right? Like, oh, is this my career path if I keep getting rejected? And I started questioning myself like that when I was, when COVID happened, like in 2020, 21. Oh, it's a horrible time for me, man. Because the gym was closed.
Yep.
Acting jobs were scarce.
Yep.
And the auditions that I did go for, I didn't get. So that was quite tough. I think like being able to carry on when things are down is a very big like indicator of strength to me.
But what motivated you to keep pushing though?
I would say friends.
Friends.
Yeah. They like really encouraged me.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend is as well, who supports me a tremendous amount. They are the push in this what we deem right now to be the right direction.
Yeah.
So I think the people you surround yourself with are very important.
Yeah.
I didn't purposefully surround myself with these people. I just magically appeared and they accepted me. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you say you like poker, because I would imagine poker is like the polar opposite of what acting is. You're supposed to have a poker face. You're not supposed to show when you have the nuts, when you have everything.
Yeah.
But in acting, you're supposed to exemplify. You're supposed to be very extroverted with your feelings.
Yeah. I think poker is interesting because there's a lot of like math and strategy involved when you
There is.
delve deeper into it.
Yeah.
I only know like the surface area of it, like how much to bet, what is appropriate amount to be winning in the long run, and stuff like that. But when you delve deeper into it, like they have like a whole chart of like, this is what you should do with this hand pre-flop, flop.
It gets
turn,
really confusing really quick.
It gets very confusing. So I do enjoy it just because it's a social thing as well with friends, and we love to beat each other.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like we play really low stakes, like, you know, like the max, like like the blinds that we play is like 10 cents, 20 cents sometimes. It's just like,
okay.
You know, it's just like, it's just like, because you know each other for so long, and like, it's like, so
I had this idea that you're playing like semi-professionally, but okay, 10 cents, 20 cents.
No, not semi-professional.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just enjoy watching it. I enjoy playing it. Yeah.
So my last question to you is, I'm curious to know, what does success look like to you right now?
I think success I can use as
is
a
it still
different
Bill
word
Gates?
to goal. No,
not Bill Gates.
No, not Bill Gates. Not anymore. I mean, that would be great, but it's not like, not even close. Like, I think there's many different levels of success that I want. I think right now, the thing that I'm working towards the most is to be able to not move, but like act in a Hollywood movie. And my goal, hopefully, I can achieve that within the next 3 years. Yeah. Whether it's a featured role where I just say one line, I'm perfectly fine with that. Because at least then I have like a foot in the industry. You know, just like how I did my role in my first show in Singapore. It was a foot in the industry. Yeah. That's one goal. The next goal would be to be able to live off just acting. And I think that would require me probably to have to move to America once again. Because only a very few amount of people get to fully live off acting in Singapore. Because of the way that the industry is structured. I'm not sure why it is the way it is, but that's just the way it is. But in America, there's a lot more opportunity for you to make a living as an actor. Even though it's hard to get. But there's a lot more opportunity. Yeah. Make a living off it while all the while still doing jiu-jitsu and coaching. Yeah. But I think one day the training might have to die down a little bit, just because I really cannot afford to get injured when I'm shooting. Is
the drawing power of a place like, let's say, Los Angeles, where Hollywood is it very strong for an actor?
I think it's strong just because of the history of the industry. But I think places like Australia, and Canada are great places to look towards too as well. Australia, because a lot of shows are filmed there. There's a lot of talent that comes out from there. So there's a lot of management in Australia that gives you the opportunity to work and find opportunities in America as well, even though you're from Australia.
Yeah.
In Canada, the film industry is huge. So it's another place for you to work aside from Los Angeles. So that's not the only place for you to do it, I guess. Yeah. Bollywood's huge, but I don't think that's my market at all. Yeah. Apparently Bollywood is bigger than Hollywood. I'm not sure. Like I've heard this being said before, but I don't know if I've never researched to see whether it's true or not.
Yep.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised just because there's like 1 billion plus people in India, right? So yeah, it's nuts. Success would also mean getting married and having kids.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
When I was young, I wanted 4 kids. Now I'd be happy if 2.
I thought you were going to say 6. Okay.
No, 6, like 6. Yeah. I think age-wise and financially, like got to be a little bit more realistic. So 2 is okay. Yeah.
Do you still feel comfortable taking risk?
What kind of risk?
Career risk.
Career risk?
Yeah, because I would imagine looking towards, let's say, America, Australia, wherever, and uprooting whatever you have right here to go there to figure something out. Yep. That is a risk.
Yeah, it is. I'm comfortable with doing it as long as I have a plan. So when I left banking, I knew I had X amount of money to survive on. And I made sure I planned my finances well enough to leave the industry.
That's what you mentioned. You can survive with very little money.
Yes, exactly. I mean, like I save money, plus I can survive on very little.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was raised by 2 chartered accountants, so
what does that
quite
mean?
Frugal. And they're very frugal, and they're very good at planning. So I guess genetically it's in me somehow. Yeah, or maybe they rubbed off on me. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Was that like a going back to that? Was that like a make it or sink it moment?
The leaving finance. It was wasn't so much actually. No.
Okay.
Because I left not knowing what I wanted, not fully knowing what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to try acting, but I wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna draw myself into it.
Yep.
But once I started getting role after role, then it might have been like a make it or break it moment. Yeah. But fortunately, it's worked out for me so far. Yeah. So I really thank everyone for the opportunities.
But what you're considering now is what's next, lah. So it's perhaps looking abroad, getting a role abroad, and starting over, in a sense, over from there, lah.
Yeah. In a sense, starting over. It's because it's not an easy process, like especially to do with like to my understanding, like getting a visa and all that in America is very hard. Yeah. Very, very hard.
Going over there, you're competing with all the actors over there as well.
Exactly, who are highly, highly skilled because whenever they're not working on set, they're going for acting classes. So everyone's got so much more like experience and skill. So it'll be very tough. Yeah, very, very tough. But I think it's a great time to be trying out as an Asian right now. I mean, because with the whole like Hollywood buzz about Asians. Yeah. So maybe it's a good time for me to try.
I'm curious to know, is representation important? Because you mentioned that, and I think I recently just watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Right,
and that was a brilliant show. Yep. So I'm curious to know from your perspective as an
congrats on watching the movie, by the way.
1 out of like 5 is good. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, you were saying.
So is it important to see Asians or some sense of representation on screen?
I don't think I've ever been someone to see it that way. To me, it's not important, but to me, it's cool to see maybe like an Asian leading man. I think it's cool, but I've never thought to myself as it's important. I think because of the way that I kept shifting between New Zealand and Singapore, I was constantly either around. I was around many different races, so to me, like everyone's the same. Like I don't really see race as an issue or like as a separation of people. People are people to me. Yeah. So I never really found it like, oh, it's important. It's just cool. Oh, it's cool. You know?
Gotcha.
But it might change as I grow up. Yeah, because opinions always change, right?
People always change.
People change. People change. Exactly.
Before we end, is there anything else you would like to talk about?
What would I like to talk about? Please watch my new show, Third Rail. Every Monday, there's 2 new episodes on MeWatch.
Can people find it online? Or?
Yeah, people can find it online. It's on the MediaCorp platform called MeWatch. Yeah. I think it's a really ambitious project for a locally done show.
What does that mean?
So the show revolves around hijackers hijacking a train in Singapore. So never been done before, right? Right?
Sure.
So that's part one.
Yeah.
The next part is we actually got 2 real MRT trains loaned to us
Given.
by the then Land Transport Minister. Sorry, sir, I can't remember your name.
Yeah.
And we filmed on a huge ass green screen. So like things like this, something like this has never happened in Singapore. And the storyline is really good. Like, might be a little bit biased. I don't like myself in it, but I think the storyline is good.
Are you able to share what role you're playing?
I play this guy called Sean Kong. He's the tactical team leader of the Star equivalent in this world of Singapore. We can't call it Star for various reasons. So we call it NAGA, the National Armed Guards Agency. Yeah.
So not a villain.
Sorry?
Not a villain.
Not a villain. I'm a good guy. But like when I watch the villains play the villains, I'm like, I wish I was a villain, you know? I would have loved the opportunity to do what my friend Carla did for her character called Val. I think she does an amazing job. Everyone does an amazing job, but her character is like the kind of villain that I would like to play. Like very out there, out of it, you know, like not the stoic, cool kind of character. Yeah. What else would I like to say? I don't know. I think that's about it, Mira.
Okay. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram. It's KYTANXH. Yeah. Please drop me a message and I'll do my best to reply the moment I see it.
This has been a fantastic episode. Thank you for your time, Kai.
Hey, no, thank you for having me, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Out of the blue, text me like, hey, yeah, you're a cool guy.
Thank you for doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode and feel inspired. If you enjoyed what you heard thus far, do give us a follow on Instagram. And don't forget to share and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next